Yes, hi all, here we go. So here's the next pair of shoes. And now these are James's shoes. These are the AliExpress standard model. So rather than having the remote control and them weird colours, they just come with the stock lights in there, which I do like. So that's those. Plan for these ones is I'm not going to do a sort of step-by-step modification video because I did that literally on Johnny's shoes a couple of days ago. And that takes quite a lot of time to sort of record the video and edit it and all that sort of stuff. So I'm just going to go through a sort of summary as we sort of get sort of key steps by steps. So shoes themselves, again, I've obviously used a hot air gun, taken them apart, and a good look around them. The shoes themselves are overall good shoes. You can see on here, this is literally how the bubble is fitted. So someone ultra blind installed that bubble really badly, and there's a load of glue on there. It's badly cut out. It's pretty damn awful, that particular side is. But this one here, other than the fact that it was not in its hole properly, it was much better. Now, your thing to note on these shoes, is glue on these bubbles. So James wants to reuse these bubbles on the shoe to sort of I guess reduce costs and also to assist in terms of how the light shines through. You can sort of see that the channels on there are not too bad. There's a bit of glue on this middle piece here. That bit there and that bit there looks pretty nice, so that's good. This one here, it has got glue on it, so you can see here that the middle channel there is covered in glue, so the light will obviously shine through it perfectly well, but not quite as crisp as the top and the bottom row. So just things to note, that's all on there, so that's something to point out. Looking around the shoe quickly, quick sort of scan around it, all looks pretty good around there. Overall looks pretty damn good, I would say. Nice. And this one here, I noticed it's got a bit of a lump of glue on the toe, which I can probably get rid of, I expect, on there. Otherwise, it's looking pretty damn good, I would say, honestly. Speckles are nice as well on that shoe. And the standard, installed those the wrong way around, which is absolutely common, so common. Parts-wise, going for some different stuff on these shoes. It's going for, let's go for the different stuff first. These. So normally, most people, go down to my parts section, would fit these from ELWireCraft, which sort of come, pre with a Nikon, pretty damn sweet parts. James is going to go for the items here which come from the Etsy sellers, all 3 panels here for the Etsy seller rather than a combination. So these obviously have nothing on, so you have to apply the decals for it, which have got lines on. So they're not, to be honest, they're probably not going to look quite as good as these ones. However, these materials are a bit smaller, a bit thinner, so they might actually, and also they feel a bit more bendy, so they might actually provide some benefits, the fact that they're smaller and more bendy. So I'm sure that they'll look really good nonetheless, but that's what's going to go in. It's going for the standard green, yellow, red panels, which we all like. And it's also gone for the Etsy sellers half moon panels. Thing to note on these ones is that they look quality, but they are a little bit smaller than these ones, which actually on this pair of shoes and other shoes, it'd probably be completely fine. It's just something to point out that these panels here from EL are bigger than these ones. But obviously I'll plug them in, check the colour, make sure the colour looks good and obviously matches the colour on the Nike tab before I install them. And if they look good, then those ones will definitely going to go in. So it'd be interesting to try those out. Otherwise they look just a bit more delicate, but they look very, very good nonetheless. So that's those. Got the 3-in-1 loom as well attached. Very, very long, I'd say, but I'm sure I can sort of fold it around and do some work with that to make it look neat. So that's that. And so again, there's 2 sets of them there. There's no inverters with them, but I'm going to use my 3-volt inverters just so I can sort of run the shoes, test the shoes, and James can get whatever inverters he wants to try and use. I know he's got a few sets at home, but yeah, there we go. That is the very, very sort of quick summary. And I'm basically now going to crack on with removing the electronics from the shoe, get this bubble panel out here, and then over the next few days or so I can install electronics, neaten up the holes, put all the lights in, go from there, get that sorted, and then work on the strap after that. Cool, nice one. Thanks all. Right then, yep, so not looking too bad. Electronics all out. Pretty good. So next up really is take them outside and basically neaten up the holes in order to get these bubbles in as best as you can. Like I mentioned, yeah, you got a ton of fogging on that one there. You can see that there's no glue in the hole, it's just fogging basically from where there's obviously glue was nearby it and it's caused it to fog, unfortunately. So that's that one there. And the other one is actually, other than the fogging sort of on the edge, that's pretty good. So yeah, anyway, I'll see if I can neaten this two up as well. So I neaten those up, neaten the holes up, particularly this awful one here. And then at the same time, remove all the old glue off this clear piece here as well, which you can sort of blatantly see there, but you have to go across the whole thing and make it all as even as possible. Otherwise, when you put the lights in it, it's you sort of see it. And again, on here you've got lots of paint on there and glue and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I'll neaten that up now, get those outside jobs done, and then I'm pretty sure I can then sort of cut the area for the wiring here to install these, and then ideally position these in place with the glue today. That way it can then settle overnight, and then tomorrow I can then obviously do the next stage after that. Cool. Right then, yeah, so one thing for people to consider basically if they purchase the ones from Etsy versus my usual supplier. Now, I don't know how well this is coming across on camera, probably not very well actually, but the Nike panel is blue. I don't know if that's coming well across. And this panel here is actually turquoise. And again, I'm not seeing turquoise on my display of my phone, but believe me, this panel here is absolutely greeny turquoise, and this one here is blue. Okay, those are also the right colours. So yes, if you want these to match that, and obviously that's no good, but if you're not too bothered, then these are the turquoise ones, which obviously look very, very sweet. And I say these are about 5mm smaller than the ones from ELWireCraft, so they'd actually fit inside most shoes, but that bit easier as well. But obviously these are turquoisey green versus those which are blue. Cool. Right then, yes, here we go. Just a quick update actually. So yeah, you can see obviously toothbrushes. So normally I would pretty much, generally speaking, replace the bubbles with the Mad King ones. But say yeah, James wants these ones here put in. And what I did is I managed to get rid of most of the excess glue on the panels and got them looking sort of pretty even. What I did is I basically blurred, sort of frosted the other parts apart from obviously the 3 tubes, frosted that to make it look even all over, because what it was is like part of it was frosted, part of it wasn't, so it now looks much more even. I've then adjusted the hole neater. Obviously with these, yeah, they never fit perfect because literally the whole shape is different from the shape of the bubble. It's, you know, that's where the Emma King one comes in quite nicely, because where it's bigger you can put it in the hole, and although it's still not perfect, it does take up more of the sort of space. But for these ones, basically it's a case of like neatening up the hole, neatening the bubble, and then fitting them together best as you can. So again, I've used my Gorilla Glue for these, and I'm obviously putting the toothbrush in the back here in order to add the curve to sort of push the bubble outwards, and that's why I've got the tape here pulling the heel cup sort of inwards to try and sort of push it all together, because basically there's not much meat, as it were, around the outside of these ones, whereas on the Air King ones they've got a good sort of 5mm all the way around. So it's no problem at all, it's just different techniques, that's all. And I've done this one before, and I found the toothbrush technique seems to work quite nice. I've got one of the panels just in place there. I haven't bothered putting this one here in yet, because I talked to James about the difference in colours of these, the fact that this is turquoise and this is blue, so I'm kind of waiting for his say so if he wants these panels put in, or if he wants ELWireCraft panels put in. Doesn't really matter, but obviously once they're in kind of thing. So I'll have to wait until the next time for those ones. Cool, excellent. Yeah, talking about panels, I thought, you know what, we might as well just double check these panels as well. So what I've done is I've applied the decals to these, and again you can have these, these are sided as well, so put the decals on, and obviously you can see they've got lines on where they're printed, and absolutely fair play of course to these people who've made these, but these were made years ago before these ones, and these are the ELWireCraft, and you know what, let's just show you what I mean. I mean, you've got chalk and cheese basically, and you know, no disrespect to these guys here, but that's the amateur version. This is the professional version here. They look to be like the same colour, but again, this one here is, if it comes up on camera, much brighter, much clearer. Obviously, you can't see through the black. Obviously, that you can see all the lines of the black. So, dog shit, good quality. So that's honestly, I'd be surprised if I end up fitting those ones into these shoes. And to be honest, I think whilst we're at it, there's no point even fitting these. These are really nicely made panels, but they're not the right colour, you know, either. So I think we'll definitely fit those. And obviously I'll let it up to James to decide if he wants these ones and these ones, but I'll be surprised if he wants those, but we'll see. Cool, excellent, cheers. Just working on James's shoes. So yeah, as you see, the letters are going on. Now, by far the best technique for lettering is just to glue these ones here straight on. I recommend something like this because it gives you a bit of sort of manoeuvrability of the letter. You need those plus the tweezers. Bit of tape on here, which I've cut down, centered. Do it as best as you can. Put them on, and say you do have, you know, a few minutes, I would say, to position them to the optimal sort of location. For these ones here, by far the best technique. You can put them in boiling water, but the actual better technique, I'm sure, is using this. To take the letter off, put it on, you know, somewhere, literally blast it for like almost 10 seconds. You'll actually, on this sort of heat here, about 1/3 heat, and you'll actually, if you watch it closely, about 7 or 8 seconds in, you'll suddenly see it start to move, or like sort of the plastic sort of starts to relax, and that's when you can turn this off. Lift up carefully. It's not super soft, but lift up carefully. Position it on the shoe quickly, and then just you know, just use your hand, but both hands, just to position it nice and neatly and get the curvature of the shoe from downwards and sideways. Literally hold it honestly for like maximum 10 seconds, and then it would literally have hardened again, and then you can just glue it on. Job done. So yeah, I'm taking this new off now. Give it this hair dryer, you know, for 7-8 seconds, and then put it on there and job done. Obviously with these ones here, got to be careful of this particular piece here, this leg here. So again, if you do it too hot or you pull it, you'll obviously you'll move and bend this piece here, and then of course it goes hard, you know, within sort of 7 or 8, 9 seconds. So if you do that and you bend it, then just put it back on here again, heat it again, then adjust it using some tweezers, then heat it again, and then position it on the shoe. So it's no mega drama. You can't really cock it up unless you absolutely melt the hell out of it. Cool. Right, let me crack on with these ones. Yo, here we go. Obviously these ones have been painted, but with one coat of this a minute ago by me, and this one had been painted with a different colour, obviously. Yeah, and that's it, one coat. And obviously I'm going to sand these down as well once it's dried off a little bit, just using a knife. That's all, just to sort of scrape it slightly flatter. But bear in mind, these are 3D printed. Yo, Phil. So yeah, so I cut these out of foam. So I brought 2mm foam. I literally got 2 packets in that envelope there, and I literally cut these out using cardboard templates that I took from my version 4 auto lace. So, and obviously they can go longer, but basically I mount them inside the shoe, just underneath there. And the reason obviously they're in this position here is, of course, they cover up this joint here, which obviously which obviously has glue and stuff on it, basically. So that's the reason why they're in that position. Right, but these are welcome. So yeah, the shoes are looking really good. So I've just, as you see clearly, I've just fitted the Graham Garlic letters and put the first coat of paint on here. And I'll literally use 1 to 2 coats maximum of this, and that's it. I don't paint the white because I say it looks like it sort of normally clumps up in between the little gaps on like the K and the N. So I'll give it a light rubbing over. Otherwise, I'll be leaving that as it is, just 3D printed. It's good, you know. Shoes are looking very, very nice. Again, James has gone to retain the original bubbles on here, which again I've cleaned up. I've sorted out the holes here, which are absolute dog shit. I've fitted the bubbles, as best as I can in the holes which are there. I fit the panels here from Etsy behind, again as best as I can and as securely as I can. You find that the Etsy panels do not line up perfectly with the bubbles from here, because you find that one of the green dots is slightly overlaps, you know, the one of the cutouts. The other ones always fit perfectly, and the red ones always overlap slightly on the right hand side. It's just what they are. You know, the Etsy panel just needs to be a tad smaller, you know, or and the bubbles here a little bit wider on the little channels. But that's just what it is. Fitted in here. In the end, we went for the ELWireCraft panels in there, because the Etsy ones are really well made panels, but basically they're turquoisey green, so they're great colours, but they're no good at all because they do not match the Nike logos. So James is having those ones back, but say we did keep the Etsy panels here plus the Etsy's 3-in-1 loom. James didn't supply me with a power unit, so I'm using my standard AA ones, which I'm trying to find out where they are to hand, but I'll quickly show you guys those in a second. Strap wise, again, the Etsy straps that James brought looked like that, the panels did, but when you actually lit them up, they were absolutely awful. They had basically decals on top of the panels, and the decals had so many lines in them where obviously they're probably printed. You lit them up and the blacks just was not black, it was just like kind of like, you know, awful sort of see-through, and you can see all the lines. It looked horrendous. It just wasn't worth installing the Etsy one. So I recommend do not buy the Etsy panels. They're awful. The panels from Etsy, for those, are good if you want turquoisey green. Otherwise, just don't mess around, just buy the ELWireCraft ones. £10 for these, £10 for those for the panels. Then buy the Etsy ones, those, which I think about £10 plus postage. So job done. So that's those. They're looking really good. And I've also just sort of what you do. This is honestly the best technique, you know. And again, I'm going to put a bit of additional glue on there, but basically fitting it as neat as you can on that side, and then you have to basically have the panel sticking out of the top and the bottom here, which you can see, and I then just put a quick coat of that on, so we don't put too much on, otherwise it clumps up. So a quick coat of white paint on there, just on the edge, just to sort of hide it a bit, and that's it. That's just the best you can do with the fact that the panels are so big versus the straps. And of course these threads here, sometimes they're that distance, sometimes they're closer to the edge, sometimes they're even further inwards. So it just depends, you know, who the sewer was at the time. But ultimately the finish there is, I think, really good. So that's those two panels. And yes, the shoes are looking really nice. So I'll quickly pause the video and then turn on the power. Right then, yeah, here we go. So yep, James's shoes are looking absolutely legendary. So I just need to do a little bit of detail work, but ultimately they're pretty much done. So I've just shoved in some bubble wrap just to sort of bulk it out so it looks better, you know, on there. I've got my usual power supplies there just to try out the shoes. And yep, I think they look really good. So in the end, we decided not to fit the Etsy panels, because they were basically turquoisey green. So whilst they're a bit smaller and they would look really good as well, and then really nice panels, they're the wrong colour for the shoe, so there's no point fitting those. It's a waste of time, unfortunately. We did fit the Etsy heel panels, which look really good. Quick note on those, you know, James just went for the original bubbles, as you can see, which I've basically tidied up as best as possible. I've tidied up the hole significantly, got the panels as best as I can. The panels basically are a bit too big for the bubbles, hence why they overlap here and they overlap here. So, and the yellow's perfect, but they're the best as they're ever going to get, and they're way better than how they looked, put it that way. I've got hand cut swoosh that I cut myself based on the version 4s. I have 2mm EVA foam and glue that on, and that is identical to the version 4s. Obviously the version 4s are much taller and bigger, so it's kind of up here, but obviously you can't fit them anywhere really up there. It's just because the shoes are physically just smaller than V4s. But I decided I always fit them along the line here. That way it covers up the sort of the joint here, which obviously when you peel it open, you have, you know, not a perfect join. A pretty good join, but not perfect. So this just covers up that join perfectly, in my opinion. Straps look really good on there. Again, the panels from Etsy, which we were going to fit, were awful. They were probably going to be good 3 or 4 or 5 years ago when EL panels came out, but basically they had decals that were printed, covered in lines that you stick on, and onto when you lit them up, they looked awful, just covered in lines. The black parts weren't very black, they were kind of like grey. They just looked waste of space. These ones, ELWireCraft, legendary. Etsy for those, legendary. So hand cut swoosh by me. On the back here, we've got the Graham Garlic letters, which are amazing. So Graham Garlic makes these. I helped him sort of design them and get the sizing and all that sort of stuff. And they basically fit the shoe, the size of the shoe really, really well. He can post you a set, no problem at all, globally. I tend to leave these ones here. I'll give them a little bit of rub down later when I detail the shoe. I tend to leave those, don't paint them, me. Because what I find is if I paint them where they're so small, you get a bit of paint clumping up in the N and the K. So I tend to leave that little scrape up and then fit it, and that's it. The mags, again, I heat them and fit them and then put the relevant nail polish on them. In this instance, this particular nail polish here, Barry M, normally matches the colours of the speckles, hence why I use this particular colour. I've got a bunch of other colours for other shoes. So those are really good. Looking legendary. Again, the straps are looking as neat as I could on the straps. Again, the panels are always mounted through the back there. So you have to cut a slit at the top and the bottom, and which I then detail with a tiny bit of white paint just to blend in. That is the best technique for fitting them, because you don't want to cut into the stitch. And unfortunately, the panels are best part of the whole width of that strap. So the technique that I do to cut them out and then to fit the panels in front and behind with a little line works really well. And again, the wiring comes through here, and you can see the joint is just in there. Again, you can poke more of that wire back into the shoe if you want to, but I tend to leave that sort of mount wire in there out. That way when the strap comes off and it's open, you've got a bit of additional flexibility there with the wire. But again, you can poke it in, do whatever you want to do with it. The system itself is very, very simple. You know, you've got a wiring loom, you've got the 3 panels and the power supply. So if you want to basically leave this outside in your garage or in your car over winter, take the batteries out, leave it outside, I can't think there'd be any problems with it at all. Whereas obviously if the shoes had lithium ion batteries or whatever in the soles, you'd have to basically charge them regularly, keep them indoors. Batteries on lithiums tend to last a couple of years and they need replacing, and it's a right pain in the arse. So whilst they are a neat system to fit them in the soles, of course, there's much more maintenance. You know, as these, very simple system. And again, you can undo these here, fit smaller ones, physically smaller ones, lower powered ones, whatever you want. But for me, if I'm wearing my shoes, I tuck this into my sock, job done with a little catch on here. But most people who own mags like this, realistically just display them in their house or in their car or a car show or whatever. So having that in there means you can put that power supply inside the shoe, have it on, flash, flicker or whatever, and that will last about at least 7 or 8 hours on a good set of alkaline batteries. So you can run that all day long, sat in your car or in the DeLorean, whatever you want to do, knowing that it's good. Whereas obviously the lithium ones tend to last, you know, 3 or 4 hours, I would say, you know, when they're in good condition. So anyway, that's all that. Again, looking at the other shoe, looks really good. Again, these never ever perfect, so you've got a bit of crap around here, just where the stitching was horrendously bad. You know, so I will try and neaten up a little bit. This one here was actually pretty good. This one here was just awful stitching. You know, the stitching just hardly wasn't there. So I will have a little go at neatening that up later. But that's just, you know, what it is when you're doing these custom shoes. You know, one of them had an absolutely horrendous bubble where it's just cut out by a blind person. So I've got that looking pretty sweet. But anyway, I would say those shoes look really, really nice. So I say I'll detail them. And then, yep, and then James can have those back. Cool. Thanks all the best.